here we are with Hawthorn, Queen of the May, the wonderful Mayflower, absolutely iconic, and also considered to be the most supernaturally associated plant really in most of folklore. Hawthorns have been part of our culture for really as long as humans have been around. We've always revered the hawthorn. Its name, hawthorn, is a corruption almost of hedgethorn because it's been used in ancient times as a plant that's used along boundaries. It's always fascinating to look at the names of plants. Hawthorn, say, derived from that German hedgethorn, and there's lots of sort of corruptions around that. And I always think that the number of common names that you have for a plant indicates just how well integrated it is within our culture and our daily existence. And a number of different names of hawthorn, when you look across all the different regional varieties and things, it takes up pages. But the most common ones are thinking of it as hawthorn, as mayflower, as whitethorn as well, which is referring to the colour of its wood, and as bread and cheese is another really friendly one. So that comes from the custom of taking the fresh leaves at this time of the year in the spring, and sandwiching a head of flowers between a couple of leaves and giving that munching on that, which was something which maybe children would do on the way to school, and call it their bread and cheese breakfast, or makes a nice addition to a ploughman's lunch as well. While we're thinking about that nice cheese and pickle kind of arrangement, later in the year, the haw berries, they make a lovely pickle, which has got a kind of peppery kind of taste to it. I also love just picking up the leaves and flowers and just steeping them in hot water. Makes a really lovely fresh kind of herbal tea. The May is so characteristic of the English hedgerow. There's nothing quite like being in England in May, with everything that comes into bloom suddenly, and that burst of frothy white against the luscious, gorgeous, bright green leaves is something which sort of sears into the heart of people who grow up in England. Really, it's just such a delight to see, and kind of just captures you when you get the sun shining on a lovely May day and all those flowers come out, and just to be able to be there and to take in the scent and just the gentleness of that scenery is just so incredibly special. So it was really interesting when I learnt that Mayflower is actually associated in regard to homesickness. So it's a good one to take with you, maybe in a little charm or in pocket if you're travelling. People who've moved abroad from England, they're recollecting about the things that they love or the things that they miss about England. It's often those springtime hedgerows and the Mayflower, which is really the iconic thing they think of as home. And there's a little twist on that as well. Those who know their history will know that the Pilgrim Fathers sailed across the Atlantic in a boat called the Mayflower. Putting all these pieces together, you think, that makes a lot of sense. And in fact, in London at that time, sort of in the early 1600s, there were about 20 different boats which were registered with the name Mayflower, which shows that when people were taking to the high seas, they were going across on a journey, sometimes trepidatious, leaving home. They wanted to remember the beautiful hedgerows they loved in the May back at home, so they had their ships called Mayflower. I think that's just wonderful to think how embedded May is with the joyous English hedgerows. So hawthorn, along with blackthorn, is our predominant hedging plant. It's used absolutely ubiquitously throughout all hedgerows. About sort of 60 to 80% of what you'll find in a hedge will be the hawthorn or blackthorn. And there's good reason for that. They're very good at forming a great thicket, a good barrier and protection. And of course, they've got those thorns, are again a deterrent in themselves. But there's more to hawthorn when we think about the barriers and creating that delineation across things, because actually at an emotional level, hawthorn is also very supportive of helping us have our own personal barriers too. Hawthorn's part of the Rosaceae family, and roses are the classic example of a beautiful plant that also has those thorns, and the thorns are saying, they're protective. I'm here, but I'm looking out for myself, and I will let you in when I choose to. I can protect myself, and that's what rose and hawthorn are helping us do. Those little thorns are a little indicator that, you know, they're there to help protect us. And when we're thinking about the emotional resonances with hawthorn, we really can't but mention the association that's always been there with hawthorn and the heart. And that actually originated back, medieval times. We relied on the doctrine of signatures in order to identify plants for different uses. The haws, the little red berries that come in the autumn on the hawthorn, they were seen as mimicking the shape of the heart, and of course being the colour of blood. And so from then, hawthorn has always been associated with the heart and with treatment of blood disorders. So it's quite incredible, really, to think that actually now, so much research has been done on hawthorn and then its use in medicinal ways. Acknowledged to be one of the most wonderful heart tonics that we have. Beautiful in terms of upregulating and downregulating, so can help with high blood pressure and with low blood pressure. It has that ability to adjust as required. But it's not just in a medicinal way that we think about hawthorn as being good for the heart, because hawthorn is also emotionally supportive of the heart. So having a hawthorn tea or hawthorn brandy is actually opening the heart, and quite often herbalists might incorporate their other herbs within a hawthorn brandy, so that it has that emotional opening up to be receptive to the other herbs that are being prescribed. Yes, so I do make hawthorn brandy. It's really quite simple to do, because it's steeping haws in brandy with sugar, very similar to how you might make a sloe gin. But I'm very cautious how I use it. It sits in the cupboard and it's there when needed, because I know that its power is to open up the heart, to open up the emotions. And I can be a bit emotional sometimes, so I'm very careful to know when I'm ready to be able to have a little bit of that hawthorn brandy, when I'm ready to take on what it might open up. There are two types of hawthorn that we recognise: Crataegus monogyna and Crataegus labiata. Second, also known commonly as the Midlands hawthorn, wants to be associated with the pinkier flowers that sometimes you see. I always love seeking out those pink flowers. Maybe it's because I'm a Midlander, but I think it's mostly because I like to make the hawthorn wine, the Mayflower wine. By selecting the pinkier flowers, you get that pinkier tinge coming through in the wine, which is just really pretty.